Shri Sai Ram. Dear students, welcome back. So today we will be continue our discussion by deriving the second and third equations of motion. But before that, let us try to understand what does the area under a velocity time graph give us. So we have this velocity time graph. Yesterday we have seen a body starts from point A, it reaches point B, and it is having a constant acceleration. The acceleration is constant. The distance covered is denoted by S. U is the initial velocity, V will be the final velocity, and all these changes will occur in a time t. Now, take any part of this graph and let us try to calculate the area. What would it give us? For example, if we take the triangle ADB, so this is the triangle now. Let us try to see what will the area of this triangle give us in terms of units. So, area of this right angle triangle will be half base into height. So, base is seconds, which is nothing but time. The unit of that will be seconds, and the height is the velocity axis, meters per second. So, when we take the area of this graph, any part of the graph, when we calculate the area, or for this rectangle take any part and calculate the area, we are getting a parameter with units of meters. So, therefore, area under this velocity time graph will give us what? A parameter which is having the SI unit as meter, which is nothing but distance. So, area under VT graph will give us the distance covered. So, let us calculate now. What is the area of the graph? The total area of the graph is nothing but area of the closed figure OABC. Area of OABC. So, let us calculate the area. It is nothing but area of rectangle. So, this is the whole figure now. We divide it as a rectangle plus triangle. So, both this put together will give us this outline OABC. So, area of the rectangle OADC plus area of triangle ADB. So, area of the rectangle plus area of the triangle will give us the area of this figure OABC. Area of the rectangle OA into OC plus area of this triangle half base AD into height BD. So, the whole, it is a trapezium now. We have broken up it as a triangle and a rectangle. We calculate the area of the rectangle and we add it to the area of the triangle ADB. So, OA into OC. What is OA? Along the velocity axis, OA will denote the initial velocity u. OC is nothing but the time taken, small t, plus half into AD. AD is nothing but OC in terms of the segment length. So, it will be time into BD. BD will be what? So, we know the whole thing. This is V. If this is U, this should be V minus U. The same thing applies here also, because these two are parallel, it will be V minus U. So, we get UT plus half t into V minus U. Now, we know the first equation of motion, V is equal to U plus AT, which implies that V minus U can be substituted with AT. From the first equation of motion, we have this particular expression. Now, we substitute, instead of V minus U, we replace it with AT here. We have UT plus half A in half t into V minus U is nothing but AT. half t into at, it will be ut plus half a t square. So, the area of the closed figure or area of this trapezium OABC will be nothing but ut plus half at square, and we have just now seen that the area under velocity time graph will give us the distance covered. So, therefore, distance which is denoted by S is equal to ut plus half a t square. So, this will be the expression for distance travelled by an object having the acceleration a, time is t and initial velocity u. So, this will complete our discussion on the second equation of motion. We have just derived the second equation of motion. Let us see. So, equation for position and time relation is just now what we have arrived at, ut plus half at square. S is equal to ut plus half at square is the second equation. Now, let us come to the third equation of motion. Equation for position and velocity relation means what? Position S and velocity v. How are S and v related? Again, we know that the distance travelled by the object is denoted as S and a uniform acceleration a. Now, again we calculate the area of the trapezium OABC, but this time we will not split up into two parts. We will not measure the area of rectangle and triangle and add them up. We use the general expression for deriving this particular area. Let us see what do we do. So, we have area of the trapezium OABC is nothing but, we use the direct formula now, half into base into sum of the parallel sides. So, OA and BC are the parallel sides and OC is the base of this trapezium now as we see. So, half into OC is nothing but time into OA is u plus BC. BC is nothing but, when projected here a perpendicular, we see that the length BC is equal to OE, which is nothing but V. So, we have half into V plus u into time, half into V plus u into, now again what is the first equation? V is equal to u plus at. Now, V minus u will be equal to at, or if you just keep time on the left hand side, we have V minus u divided by a. So, t can be substituted with V minus u divided by a, that is what we will be doing here. So, we have V minus u divided by a half into V plus u into V minus u divided by a. So, V plus u into V minus u, a plus b into a minus b, we use the expression now, formula V square minus u square by 2a. This is nothing but the area. Now, what does area under this VT graph give us? It will give us the distance travelled S. So, we have S is equal to V square minus u square by 2a, or when I cross multiply, I have V square minus u square will be equal to 2as. So, this will be the third equation of motion. So, we have seen, suppose a body is starting from rest and it is attaining initial velocity u, and after some time t it changes its velocity to v because of a constant acceleration a, and if s denotes the distance covered. So, we have all the three equations. The first one, v is equal to u plus at, second one, s is equal to ut plus half at square, third one, v square minus u square is equal to 2as. So, these are the three equations relating all the parameters. How many parameters are there here? 5 parameters are there. What are they? U, V, T, S, A. 5 parameters are there, and relating all this we have 3 equations. Now suppose when you are solving numericals, we have to pick up either this or this depending on what is asked. So you can pick up any of these. Suppose you want to calculate distance covered and the data is given. So you need to know which formula to choose. So depending on the data values that are given, you can use this or calculate using this. And one more important thing, if you look at these equations are exactly balanced in terms of their units. For example, suppose when you are solving numerical and by mistake you wrote V is equal to ut plus at, instead of u plus at, suppose you wrote ut plus at, definitely we get a wrong answer. So there is a way in which we can check whether the equation is correct or no. So left hand side, what do we have? So some quantity can be equated to something similar. So velocity should be equated to something on velocity only. On the other side also, if you simplify, you should get the units of velocity only. Similarly, distance is there on left hand side, meters. So this side, when I simplify, my simplification should lead me to a unit of meters only. Here I have square of velocity. This side also I should get square of velocity. Let us check. Velocity is meters per second. The first one, meters per second, I have. U is nothing but meters per second again, plus A, acceleration is meters per second square into time is second, SI units. I am writing all the units now. So meters per second square into second. So I get some quantity here which is having the units of meters per second, and this side also meters per second. My equation is balanced in terms of the units. Now the same way, if we check the second one, I will do the second one, you can check for the third equation as well. So for second equation, when I check, I get S is meters, the SI unit of distance travelled. So do not confuse here, this is not second, this is distance. I am writing the formula relating the physical parameters here. So distance is measured in meters, ut, unit of speed, initial velocity, meters per second into time, SI unit is second, plus half acceleration, meters per second square into time is second whole square. So I have converted this equation in terms of SI units. Now second and second will cancel the units. Similarly, second square and second square will cancel. So when I simplify, I am adding something which I am getting the final result in SI unit of meters, and this side also I am getting meters. Suppose when you are solving a numerical, instead of this correct expression, suppose you wrote only at and you are not sure whether this is at or at square. How can you know? At least by this method you can be able to find out. So meters per second into meters per second square into time will be in second now. Suppose you wrote a wrong formula, instead of at square I wrote half at. So I wrote a wrong formula. So what will happen? Only one of the second will go, the other second is still there. So I am adding something like distance with something like velocity, which means I am not permitted to do this. So therefore this is one simpler way to check whether we are using the right equation or no. Similarly, if you check for the third equation as well, you will be able to make out whether this is dimensionally or in terms of units it is balanced or no. So these are the 3 equations of motion. As we are solving some numericals, we will be seeing how to apply this. Let us have a look. Now we come to the last module of this chapter, uniform circular motion, and then we will take up some numericals. Now uniform circular motion, the name says that there is circular motion, no doubt we are going to discuss circular motion, but something is uniform or constant. What is that? So before that, let us see, we get back to our basics of velocity. Now we know that velocity is a vector quantity. So velocity is having 2 parameters. So one is the magnitude and the other is direction. Because velocity is a vector, there is a magnitude and there is a direction also associated, and it does not depend only on the numerical value or magnitude. So suppose whenever we want to change velocity, What we have seen till now, we are changing the magnitudes of speed. So initially speed was 40 meters per second, then speed became 80 meters per second along a straight line. So therefore, because there is change in speed, we have velocity given by v minus u, final minus initial velocity divided by a, that will give us the acceleration. So change in velocity either can be due to change in the magnitude or change in speed, or the other way is to change the direction. As the direction changes, the velocity can change, and because of change in velocity we have acceleration. Now look at this diagram. So we have this car moving on a circular track, and we can make out that it is moving with a constant speed. So speed here, the magnitude of the velocity is remaining constant, but what is happening at every point on the track, the car is changing its direction. Continuously it is changing. So suppose you start from any point, so to come back to that point it is covering 360 degrees and coming back to the same point. So here change in velocity is happening not because of speed but because of direction. So this is what we call uniform circular motion. Means what? An object is travelling along a circular path, maintaining constant speed, but the change in velocity is occurring due to change in direction. So the first part, this is very important for us now. Velocity, it can be changed either by changing magnitude or direction. So till now whatever we have discussed, we have only changed the magnitude of velocity and then seen how the velocity is changing. Now in this uniform circular motion, we are keeping the magnitude constant, but we are changing the direction. So let's have a look. If an object moves with a velocity of constant magnitude and a constant value along the circular path, the only change in velocity is due to the change in direction, because two components are there, magnitude and direction. Magnitude is not changing, direction is changing. So hence this motion is an example of accelerated motion, because change in velocity is occurring in a given time and the acceleration is being directed towards the center of the circle. So why it is directed towards the center of the circle? So more of this when we discuss in the third unit of physics, that is the gravitation, we will be able to understand what makes this object move along a circular path, what provides the circular motion to that object. So when an object moves in a circular path with uniform speed, its motion is called uniform circular motion. And when we are solving numericals, we calculate the uniform speed or velocity like this. If the circumference of the circle is, like if the radius is taken as r, the circumference will be given by 2 pi r. So if time taken to complete a complete round or to move along the circumference is time t, so therefore the velocity to move around the circular path and come back to the same point is the distance travelled by time taken, which is nothing but 2 pi r, the circumference is the distance divided by time. So this is about the uniform circular motion. Object is moving in a circular path, but there is no change in magnitude or speed, but only there is change in the direction, and because of change in direction there is an acceleration which is produced towards the center of the circular path. Let us take up some numericals now. The first question, so the first question, what can you say about the motion of an object if its speed time graph is a straight line parallel to the time axis? So we have a velocity time or speed time graph and the graph is parallel to the time axis. So what do we know from this? We have discussed in the last lecture that whenever we see such a graph, we can make out that at any point, any instant of time that we take, the velocity is not changing, it is neither going up or nor going down, it is maintained at a constant value. So we can say that the object is moving with constant speed or constant velocity, because at any time I see the velocity is not varying, it is neither moving up nor moving down, there is no change, it is a constant. So this graph in velocity time graph, whenever the graph is a line parallel to the time axis, we can make out that it is moving with a constant velocity. Let us go to the second question. Let us go to the next question. A train starting from rest attains a velocity of 72 kilometers per hour in 5 minutes. Assuming that the acceleration is uniform, find the acceleration and the distance travelled by the train for attaining this velocity. Now, in this question, few things are very important to note. One is this particular phrase called starting from rest. So, this is a very important point for us now. So, you need to underline that, you have to keep in mind when you are solving this. A train starting from rest, this is important because whenever an object starts from rest, so whenever you see in the question some object is starting from rest, train is starting from rest, all this. So, whenever this starting from rest comes, we know that the initial velocity is 0 because it started from rest, u is 0 and it attained some velocity, in this case it is 72 kilometers per hour. So, train starts from rest. So, this is how we solve it. The initial velocity will be 0, the final velocity is 72 kilometers per hour. Now, this 72 each kilometer per hour, we know the conversion now. 1 kilometer per hour is 5 by 18 meters per second. So, 72 into 5 by 18 when I do, I get 20 meters per second. So, I have the u value, initial velocity, I have the final velocity value, and time is 5 minutes. Again, this is not the SI unit, kilometers per hour is not the SI unit. So, therefore, we convert accordingly. Each minute is 60 seconds. So, 5 minutes will be 300 seconds. Now, they are asking us to calculate the acceleration. What will be the formula for acceleration? V minus u divided by t. So, V 20 minus 0 divided by 300, 20 by 300, it is 1 by 15 meters per second square. So, whenever we are solving numerical, not only the value, the unit is also very important. Sometimes we forget to mention the units. So, whenever you solve, acceleration is 1 by 15 meters per second square, and then they are asking us to calculate what is the distance covered. So, now which formula we have to use? We have to use the second one or third one? We can use any of this because we have all the parameters. I know u, I know time, I know the acceleration, I can go with this, or I can go for the third equation as well. Let us use the second equation, ut plus half at square, and then later if you check the same result by using third equation, we find that the distance obtained is same. So, ut 0 into time 300 plus half a is 1 by 15 into t square, time is 300 seconds, 300 into 300. So, we have 0. So, 2 15s are 30. So, it will be 3000. So, the distance covered will be 3000 meters or 3 kilometers. So, finally, we can arrive at this result. We can as well use the third equation and then check, the answer will be same, it will be 3 kilometers. Next. Let us have a look at the question. A bus starting from rest moves with a uniform acceleration of 0.1 meters per second square for 2 minutes. Find the speed acquired and the distance travelled. Again, in this numerical, it is important to note this particular phrase, a bus starting from rest. Now, whenever we see this word starting from rest, we know that the initial velocity is 0, u is 0, acceleration is given 0.1 meters per second square or 1 by 10 meters per second square, time is given in minutes. So, what do? We convert it into the SI unit seconds. Now, they are asking us to calculate the velocity acquired. So, it starts from rest and what will be the final velocity. So, which equation we need to use? The first equation we will use because we know what is initial velocity, we know what is acceleration and time. So, V is nothing but u plus at. U is 0 plus acceleration 1 by 10 into t 120, it will be 12. Units will be what? For velocity SI unit, meters per second. So, the velocity acquired after this much time with this acceleration will be 12 meters per second. And now they are asking us to also to calculate what will be the distance travelled. Now, we have u, a and t, we can go with the second equation, or we have calculated the final velocity also. We know velocity, final velocity, we know u, we know a and s, we know a, so we need to calculate s. So, let us use the third equation now. S is nothing but v square minus u square divided by 2a. We use the third equation. So, this, so v square, v is what? 12 square minus u square is 0 square divided by 2 into what is a? 1 by 10. So, I have 12 into 12 into 10 divided by 2. 2 6 are 12, 72, 720. So, the distance covered will be 720 meters, or I can also write 0.72 kilometers. So, the final answer you can either leave it in the SI unit or a convenient unit. So, if it is something like 20 meters only, then you can leave it like this, but because it is given in the third, it is having 3 digits now. So, I can as well convert into 0. I have converted this into kilometers also, but you can leave it here as well. So, this completes our numerical. Let us go to the next one. A train is travelling at a speed of 90 kilometers per hour. Brakes are applied so as to produce a uniform acceleration of minus 0.5 meters per second square. So, now a train is already moving with some velocity, and we know that brakes are applied and the final velocity will be what? It comes to rest. So, after applying brakes, what will happen? The object comes to rest. So, that is shown in the question. Let us have a look. Brakes are applied so as to produce a uniform acceleration of minus 0.5 meters per second square. Find how far the train will go, which means they are asking us to calculate the distance, how far it goes before it is brought to rest. Now, this is the second interesting point you have to notice here. This phrase, the train is brought to rest, it means that the final, it is moving with some initial velocity, and the final velocity obviously it becomes 0. Why? Because of brakes are being applied now. So, whenever we see this phrase like it object comes to rest or it is brought to rest, it indirectly means that the final velocity is 0. So, this data is given for us now. Initial velocity is 90 kilometers per hour. I convert it into the SI units of meters per second. Acceleration is given, it is a negative sign if we notice carefully here. Final velocity is 0. Now, why is acceleration given a negative sign? Can it be negative? Yes, because it is a vector, it can be negative. But what does this negative sign imply? Negative sign implies that the acceleration is opposite to the direction of motion. So, it is negative. So, if the object is increasing its velocity, so if the object is going from 10 meters per second to 40 meters per second, we say that the object is accelerating. So, v minus u will be positive now. Now, let us take the other case. Object is having initially 30 meters per second, and then finally after applying brakes it comes to rest, or its speed is changing. So, what will be the value of v minus u? It will be negative. So, acceleration is v minus u divided by t. 0 minus 30 is minus 30 divided by whatever time they are giving us now. So, in this example we have already some initial velocity. Because of application of brakes, there is deceleration produced. Means what? Acceleration means velocity is increasing from one value to the other value. Deceleration means velocity is reducing. So, from 30 the value came down to 0. So, therefore, acceleration from the formula if you calculate, the sign will be negative. Negative sign of acceleration only means that the velocity is reducing gradually. Positive sign of acceleration, acceleration is plus 2 meters per second square. When we tell acceleration is enhancing the motion, the motion is happening in such a way that the velocity is increasing. Acceleration is minus 2 meters per second square. When we tell the movement of the object is, the speed of the object is coming down. So, initially some speed was there, after some time it reduced and finally it becomes 0. So, here negative sign implies that finally the object came to rest, they have said. So, we have initial velocity, we have acceleration, they are asking us to calculate the distance. So what formula do we use? If you look at all the expressions carefully, we know u and v, we know a, we are asked to calculate what is s. So therefore we have to use this expression, v square minus u square is 2as. So we know what is v square, 0 minus what is u square, 25 whole square. Why? Because we converted it into meters per second, is 2 into acceleration minus 0.5 or minus 1 by 2 into s. So 2 and 2 will cancel. So that implies minus s will be equal to minus 25 square is 625. So minus and minus cancels on both sides. So therefore finally when we calculate the distance, which means the body is moving initially with 25 meters per second and this acceleration, and the acceleration is not enhancing the movement, it is making the object to reduce its speed. So finally the object will cover 625 meters or 0.625 kilometers before it comes to rest. So it is moving initially with this speed and this acceleration, brakes are applied. So for the velocity to drop from 25 meters per second to 0, by the time velocity comes down to 0, this much distance the object has travelled. You can write 625 meters or you can write like this, both are fine. Let us see the next one. The question goes thus: a trolley while going down an inclined plane has an acceleration of 2 centimeters per second square. What will be its velocity 3 seconds after the start? So the data given, if we look at the question carefully, a body is starting and moving down an inclined plane. So for your reference, for you to imagine, so it started somewhere from here and it is travelling down an inclined plane. When the object starts from rest, it is starting, so initial velocity is 0 and the time taken to travel is 3 seconds and the acceleration is 2 centimeters per second square. I convert this into the SI unit of meters. So 2 centimeters is 0.02 meters per second square. So I have acceleration, I know time, I know the initial velocity. What will be the velocity acquired? They are asking us to calculate the final velocity. They are asking us v, giving all the 3 parameters. So we use the first equation, v is equal to u plus at, u is 0, a is 0.02 meters per second square into time is 3 seconds. So what do we get now? 0.06 meters per second. So this is in the SI unit, the velocity calculated in SI units will be 0.06 meters per second, or expressing it conveniently we have 6 centimeters per second. So this will be the velocity acquired by the object. So we can leave the final answer at meters per second, or we can write it down in the convenient unit of 6 centimeters per second. So in this particular chapter, so these are the things that we have discussed. So we started with describing what is a rectilinear motion, and then we started our discussion with introducing the concepts of distance and displacement. Now distance and displacement, the only difference is the direction. So if we are talking distance with direction, we call it displacement. If we are only talking of the magnitude or the numerical value, we call it distance. Now distance, the rate of change of this parameter distance will give us speed or velocity. Again, speed is only with the numerical magnitude and velocity is along with the direction. So when I tell 4 meters per second towards north, so that I am talking of the velocity now, because I am specifying the direction as well. If I just talk the speed is 4 meters per second, I am only talking of the numerical value, I am stressing only on 4. So here velocity is having again 2 components. One is the speed or the numerical part, the magnitude, the other one is the direction. And then further, when we take the rate of change of velocity, we get this term called parameter acceleration. Means what? how the velocity is changing with respect to time. Is it increasing or decreasing? If the velocity increases with respect to time, we say that the body is accelerating. The sign will be positive. If the object is having a reduced velocity as the time progresses, the acceleration will take a negative value. We say that in this case it is decelerating motion. So, accelerating motion means the velocity is increasing with respect to time. Deceleration means velocity is reducing with respect to time. So, distance, take rate of change, we get velocity, velocity rate of change, we get acceleration. So, displacement, when we take the rate of change, we end up getting velocity, and further when we take rate of change, we get acceleration. Now, we have discussed initially which is something called uniform and non-uniform motion. Means what? Whenever the distances are changing in equal intervals of time. So, for every equal interval of time, if my distance is also changing by the exact amount, we say that the object is having uniform motion, is undergoing uniform motion. Non-uniform means what? Equal distances in unequal intervals of time, or unequal distances in equal intervals of time. So, we have seen this, and later we have come to the introduction and discussion about graphs. So, we have seen how do we plot a distance time graph, how do we plot a velocity time graph. On the x axis we have the independent variable time, on the y axis we have the dependent variable either distance or velocity and so on. So, we have seen each graph what it denotes, how do we read the graph, how can we get equations from the graph, and this is what we have finally arrived at. So, based on the velocity time graph and an object is moving with constant acceleration, we have arrived at all the three equations of motion. So, these are the derivation, this is the main derivation in this chapter. So, the first equation relating all the parameters, the second and third. There are 5 parameters which are nothing but initial velocity, final velocity, time, acceleration and distance. So, this will complete our discussion with the equations that are obtained from the graphical method. And finally, we concluded our discussion by introducing the concept of uniform circular motion. Uniform, the speed is constant. So, object is moving along a circular path, the speed is remaining constant, and it is calculated by the expression 2 pi r by t. How much time it takes to complete this circular motion and come back to the same point A. It went through a circular track and reached the point A covering the circumference of the circle 2 pi r, and in what time it took place. So, theoretically we can calculate what will be the velocity, and then we have seen because of change in direction, the acceleration of this particular object is always directed towards the center, and more of this circular motion we will be discussing in the chapter called gravitation. So, we have started our discussion with a straight line motion, and we have just seen the very basics of circular motion. So, this concludes our discussion on the topic of motion. Sai Ram and thank you.